Hi there, today I'm going to show you how to create a sweet box using SketchUp. Here's an example of one I've made earlier, but we're going to start from scratch. Here in this example, I've added different textures to my box. I've added a title, and I've actually made some different types of sweets. You may not do that in the first lesson, but it's definitely something you can always think about adding into your work. So, first things first, I'm going to go and start a new project. Click New. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is delete this person. Normally in the SketchUp work, you want to keep that person to keep scale, but we're not that worried about it today. So I'm just going to delete the person to start with, okay? It makes things a bit easier to work with. Now, to make the SketchUp model, there's always a few different choices. I'm just going to use the pan and the orbit tool to move around a little bit. Okay, so first thing first I'm going to do, I'm going to create a sweet box pretty much like in my example. So I'm going to start by making the basic shape. I'm going to start by drawing out a rectangle and letting go. And then I'm going to use the push-pull tool to pull up the box. Now, that is a simple box, but it's not the most interesting of things to look at. So we're now going to do a little bit more to it to make it more of an interesting shape. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add an arc. Now, the arc tool works in some interesting ways. So we're going to click on the second one. And if you look really carefully at the icon, there is a red dot on the end of an arc. This is helping you to tell you what to do. So you've got to click once, then you click at the end for the end point, and then you're going to click for a third time for the top. Now I want this arc to go upwards, so that blue line is correct because that's going in the upwards direction. Then I'm going to orbit around, and then I'm going to use the push-pull tool again to push-pull it just so we get to the edge. I want it to line up. Okay, so we've got a box with a bit of a curve. Now the shape isn't quite correct, but I am going to do some deleting to start with. I'm going to delete this line because I don't need it anymore, and I'm going to go around to the back and delete the other line because again I don't need that. Now, in order to make the shape, we're going to move a line. Now, you can actually move two different types of lines. You can either, you've got to use the move tool. You can either move this line or this line. Okay, I'm going to move this line in, and I'm going to move it in the green direction, so it's the green dotted line is correct. Then I'm going to orbit round, get to the edge, and then move that in again in the green direction. And there you go. So that is my simple box shape. I hope that you'd be able to come up with something more interesting, but that's my simple shape. Now, you can stop the video here and then go and have a go at making your shape, and then come back and I'll show you how to add some textures. Okay, so adding textures. Now, in order to add a texture, we use the fill tool. And the fill tool gives us some options. We've got some basic colors under here. And you can choose any of these textures or materials that you want to apply to the object. So if I just pick colors, because it's a good starting point, you click green, and it's just going to replace it across the face. Now, if you want to try and put textures in slightly different places on the face, if you draw lines on faces like this, this then actually gives you a different section, so that you can actually apply different colors to different faces. Now, this in itself is fine. You'll be able to decorate your box in a nice, interesting way. But what would be much better is if you can make your own texture. Now, this is where it can be challenging if you're using a different computer. But what you need to do is open up a paint package of some description and then draw your own texture. So I'm just going to quickly do this using paint. Here is paint. So what I'm going to very quickly do, I'm just going to quickly make a background color. Let's make it yellow, and then I'm going to add some colored stars. Now you can use any type of paint program for this. I'm just happen to be using this one. I'm going to make the size quite thick. I want the outline to be a solid color, and I want the fill color to be a solid color. And the second color here is the fill, so I'm going to do orange and orange. So now I should be drawing orange stars, which is great. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit because I want the same stars for each thing, for each object. So I'm going to use the select tool, select one, And then I'm going to copy and paste and just move that along. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcuts now, Control V to paste, just to make it a bit quicker. And then I'm going to cheat again. I'm going to use the select tool to select the whole row. And I'm using the keyboard shortcuts, Control C to copy it and Control V to paste. And now I've got to paste this one. I'm going to paste that again. Just once more. And then what I'm going to do in this example is I'm going to scroll in here and just going to click the corners just to shrink down the page. So there we go. So there's my object. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to show you how to import it. So it's important to save it with a file name that makes sense. I'm just going to hit the save button. I'm just going to save this as stars. It's saving it on my desktop, but you need to be aware of where you're saving yours. I can close this away, don't need it anymore. And now I can try and apply this as a material. So let me just orbit round. Just going to get rid of this bit because we don't need it. So I'm going to apply it to the back here. So what we do to insert any material is you click on the little open option and then you click insert. And then you're going to choose a picture. And it says certain types of files it can choose is a PNG or a JPEG, they're the main two. So click your computer, click desktop, and then there we go. Stars is what I chose. Click open. And this is an important choice. At this point, the only thing we're worried about is as a material. There is another video on about what the differences of those are, which you can look at later. But if I click material, then it will add it as a material. Now, at the minute, it's just asking, oh, where do I want to place it? So what you do is you want to place it on the side. So you click once to place the image, and then you have to resize it. So depending on how big you're going to make it, depends on how big the stars are going to be. It doesn't matter that it's going off the edge of the face. So I'm going to make it about this big. Click again, and after a second, it will turn tile it across the whole face. You can then, of course, use this and apply this to other faces. If you go back to the fill tool, and it brings up the models. If you click on home, it will show you all the textures within the model, and so you can select that and just apply it to other faces as well. Now, the last thing I want to quickly show you is how to add some text to your Sweetbox. So what we're going to do now is find the text tool. So we're going to go down here to find the text tool. The text tool is under the... No, it's not. What we're going to do, we're going to go and find the text tool. The text tool is under where the rectangle tool is. You click on the A, and then it's going to ask you to enter some text. So I'm going to call these stars, very unoriginal. These numbers are all very important in terms of the size. So the height here is 30 centimeters. That might be fine, but we need to think about the sizing of this in a minute, and we can resize it if it's too big or too small. Do you want the text to be filled? Yes, you do. Do you want it to be extruded? I mean, do you want it to be sticking out the box? Generally, no, so I would untick that. So click OK. And here is the object. So you're going to click. It's too big. Then we use the resize tool, just like you would on other things, to resize it. Okay. You can also then use the fill tool to fill this because it's one shape, and you'll be able to fill it with different colors. Okay, so that's enough for today. I'll do another video which shows you how to create little suites as well, which you could place down the front of the model.